Welcome to Dynasty Debrief. Today, we're going to give you our top 24 Dynasty wide receiver rankings in tiers. So, get right into the S tier. We have three players. We have Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers, young wide receivers in the league, has the chance to go down as the best wide receiver of all time. We also have Jamar Chase, another super young, talented wide receiver. No reason not to have him in S tier.
Next, we got CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott's most likely getting a nice contract this offseason. He was an absolute stud this year. I don't see anything that's going to hold him back over the next 5, 6, 7 years.
All right, so moving on to the A tier, we got Marvin Harrison Jr. in there. He's a rookie, but we're still bullish on his talent. We think he's the best prospect since Jamar Chase, at least. So there's no reason to not have him in your top four dynasty wide receivers.
Yeah. Next is Amon-Ra St. Brown, just an absolute stud. PPR merchant. He's so good. We have him just outside the S tier. He's not quite on that elite ceiling that those top three guys have, but he is just an absolute solid piece that you want on your roster.
And then we got Puka Nacua, best rookie season of all time. We personally think if he was a first round pick in the last year's NFL draft, he'd be probably next with Jefferson and in that S tier. So if you still doubt him, I don't know what to tell you. He's in this A tier. He's earned it.
Next up is Garrett Wilson. This year, his points per game was around 12. Not great, but quarterback play was horrible. Offense was bad, but Rodgers next year, extreme upgrade, Ohio State wide receiver. He's got all the talent and a nice figure moving forward.
So our next player is going to be AJ Brown. Now this is starting off our B tier. So some of you might be watching this and saying, "That's ridiculous. He should be in A tier." Now just hear us out on a couple of reasons why he maybe shouldn't be in the A tier. So I'm coming off of a really bad end of the season, which I don't believe is truly his fault, but some people will. The real reason why we have him in this B tier is he's getting a little bit older. He's going to be 27 in June, I believe, or 26.
27.
27 in June. And that's getting to the point where people start valuing wide receivers differently. Think of Diggs, just a year ago when people started going, I'll give you a first for him. So in order for AJ Brown to be in that A tier and be 27 years old, we believe he need to put up a very good season, a top 5 season next year. And we're just not super confident that he's going to do that. We do think he'll be a wide receiver one, maybe a back end wide receiver one, but a top 5 season, we're not too sure about. So we're just a little bit under consensus on AJ Brown, but that's okay.
And he has an injury history in the past. Since he's gotten to Philadelphia, he hasn't been that hurt, aside from that injury at the end of the season. But that's always something that could pop back up. So we're going to put him in the B tier, but he always does have that elite upside that you're looking for in a receiver.
Next, we have Malik Neighbors, star prospect out of LSU. Many people say that he's really close to Marv, and if Marvin didn't have his name and where he came from and all this hype from when he started off his freshman year in the Rose Bowl with a 2 touchdown performance, that he would be right up there with Marvin Harrison. And if Marvin Harrison wasn't in this draft, Neighbors would be to the moon. So uh, landing spot always means something, but most likely he'll be a top 5, top 8 draft pick in April. So we put him in this B tier right behind AJ Brown.
And then we got Chris Olave. He's gotten kind of hurt with the quarterback play his first 2 seasons, but he's still got the lead upside that AJ Brown and Neighbors also have in this tier. So we're going to put him there. We're still confident that he's going to get it figured out. Maybe the quarterback play gets better next year, and we think he pops off next year.
Yeah, Chris Olave, great talent. Just needs a quarterback. And then the last player running off this tier is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has a good chance to be the wide receiver one next year. He had an absolutely just insane difference maker type of year. And that's what we want in our dynasty teams, especially if you're in a shallow league. Just having an absolute hammer like Tyreek Hill, someone that can put up 23 points a game. There's only maybe 3 other wide receivers on this list that have any chance of ever doing that. So even though Tyreek Hill is older, we still think the couple seasons that he has left is worth to be in this tier.
And Miami loves to feed Tyreek Hill. Tua loves Tyreek Hill. He's shown no signs of dropping off. So we're going to keep him in here as long as he keeps producing like this. You want him on your fantasy teams. So Jeff, do you want to go start with off for the C tier?
Yeah, C tier. First guy we have in the C tier is DJ Moore. DJ Moore was really good in Carolina, but always hindered by quarterback play. He got to Chicago. He got a slight upgrade with Justin Fields. He put up 17 fantasy points a game this year. And most likely he'll be getting another quarterback upgrade this offseason when they most likely select Caleb Williams number 1 overall. So sky's the limit for DJ Moore. I like the potential that he has moving forward.
Yeah, the only thing holding him in C tier is honestly his age. He's a little bit older than the other guys. So next up we have Devontae Smith. Elite talent. Uh, the only thing holding him back really is his number 2 role in the offense. Obviously, AJ Brown's there, and AJ Brown is a top 5 wide receiver in the league, so Devontae Smith's going to be held back a little bit by that. But nonetheless, still a fantastic dynasty wide receiver too, and has plenty of years left in him. So
And I think in Dynasty, you want to bet on these hyper talented players. Like, I think if Devontae Smith had his own team and he was the one on that offense, he would be up there possibly in that C tier. So we want to bet on talent when it comes to Dynasty. So we're going to put Devontae Smith in that C tier.
And like we talked about with AJ Brown's injury history, like if God forbid he were to suffer an injury, Devonta Smith would be in the 17, 18, 19 points per game tier in that offense.
who also never gets hurt.
Absolutely. Yeah, Devontae Smith's very durable. So now we move to Brandon Ayuk. This is another guy that's kind of gotten hindered with landing spot and target competition in that offense, but he's a free agent at the end of the season. And there's potential that he gets a huge payday. San Fran maybe can't afford him. And we think he gets much better opportunity next season and he can really show the elite talent that we think he has. So yeah, that's definitely a guy you want to be buying, we think, in this offseason.
Next up, we have Nico Collins, who was really a late bloomer. It took him a couple years, horrible quarterback play in Houston, but when they drafted Stroud, he really broke out as that X receiver for them. Downfield threat over the middle, no matter what. He was making plays for them all season long. When Tank Dell was there, he still was very productive. Without Tank Dell, he was to the moon, but we have him here at the end, last player in the C tier, a wide receiver 15. He's going to be 24, 25 years old. CJ Stroud is young and long-term option there for the Houston Texans, and they're keep retaining their offensive coordinator. He put up 17 and a half points per game this year. I see him staying close to that number for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, no reason not to love Nico Collins in that Houston offense. So that rounds out our C tier. Now we're moving on to our D tier. Keep in mind, these are all great players. We want all these guys. We got Michael Pittman here. Michael Pittman's a little bit on the older side, close to that DJ Moore type age, but he's still a very good wide receiver. Had a great year, had a great last 2 years, and is getting hopefully a quarterback upgrade with Anthony Richardson. Hopefully Anthony Richardson can supply Michael Pittman maybe a little more downfield. This past couple 2 years, he's been very short A dot type of player, which is good for PPR. But we're hoping he can unlock an even higher ceiling for Michael Pittman. Only thing holding him back a little bit is that age that he's just a little bit older.
Yeah, he produced 1,100 receiving yards of Gardner Minshew, and I don't think Anthony Richardson can get worse. Maybe doesn't have the upside that you're looking for in an Ayuk or Nico Collins to put him in that C tier. We just don't know what Anthony Richardson really looks like as a passer. So that's the only thing I guess holding him in that D tier and the age that Dalton mentioned. Let's move on to Jalen Waddle. This is a guy that had sky high expectations after his first 2 years in the league, and then his third year wasn't really productive. He kind of dealt with injuries, like getting hurt midway through a game, and then obviously you got Tyreek Hill on the other side of the ball. So yeah, just it was a disappointing year to be playing with you. But he's still an elite talent, at least I think. He I think like had 15 points a game. Like he's still a good player.
He's fine.
He's a good player. You want to bet on good players. I think Jalen Waddle is a good player.
Next up, we got T. Higgins. Higgins personally is one of my biggest buy lows this offseason. He only put up 11.5 fantasy points per game this year, but he was hindered by injury. Burrow had a struggling start to the season. Higgins is an elite talent. He's an incoming free agent this offseason, but most likely will get a franchise tag, or he'll probably go to a team where he'll be the wide receiver one. So I think T. Higgins has a very high ceiling, and moving forward, he's someone that I'd want on my dynasty team.
Yeah, T. Higgins is a little bit like a mystery box. You don't know where he's going to go. He could be on the Chiefs, could be on the Bengals, could be on the Panthers, and those spots are all good for different reasons. Maybe they're not good. Who knows? Next, we have Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is a very exciting rookie. I think he deserves to be in this tier, if not a little bit higher in this tier. He's a very, very good player. He kind of has that Deebo Samuel type role in the offense where he catches the short passes and takes them for extra yak. He's very exciting. He's tied to Mahomes for forever, pretty much, probably.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are maybe losing Kelsey, which could free up more targets for him. There's just a lot of targets to go in that offense. Mahomes is going to throw for 4,000 plus passing yards every single year, and Rashee Rice, as long as he is on that offense, is going to be able to get a lot of that. He only broke out towards the second half of the year and still finished with 900 some yards. So if you extrapolate, that second half of the year, he probably was on track for like 1,200, 1,300 yards as a rookie. So just an absolutely amazing player you want to have on your team.
Yeah, kind of like what you said. I think it was after the Eagles game. he had 3 top 12 wide receiver finishes. Like he had a great end of the year, and I think he carries that momentum in the next season. So let's move into the E tier, starting off with Roma Dunze. He's a receiver coming out of the University of Washington. He's a senior, so a little bit older than Neighbors and Harrison, but he still should get top 10 draft capital, most likely, maybe potential landing spot with the Bears and Caleb Williams. That would be really exciting. I don't think he's to the level that Neighbors and Harrison are. He's going to be a great rookie, and if he's a top 10 draft capital like we're predicting he will be, he's going to be a top 20 dynasty receiver. It's just kind of how it works.
Next up, we got Drake London, who has another one who I'm kind of thinking is going to end up like Nico Collins, draft capital aside. Um, he's going to be a late bloomer, horrible quarterback play in his first couple of years. Question mark at what they're going to do at quarterback this year, but I was not a big fan of the Falcons head coaching hire, but when they brought in the Rams passing game coordinator, I my eyes popped. I said, "Wow, he could be used in a Puka Nakua role, and if he's even anything close to that, he's going to smash this wide receiver 21 spot that we have him in now." So, if you buy into the Rams offense, there's no reason to not to buy into this new Falcons offense as long as they get a good quarterback this offseason.
Also extremely young. He's 22 and a half years old, which is comparable to most rookies that are, that just came off their season. He's younger than Rasheed Rice, like, still has tons of time to get better. So next we have Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison had a pretty solid rookie year, had a lot of touchdowns. Um, he's very young for a rookie. Very exciting to have him next to Jefferson for the foreseeable future. Was an elite college producer at USC and Pitt. Really just a nice player to have as a nice wide receiver too. The ceiling isn't quite there for Jordan Addison just because Jefferson's in that same offense. But as long as they keep Kirk, which we do believe that the Vikings will keep Kirk, that's just an elite team to have your wide receivers on because he loves throwing the ball. He is so good for producing good fantasy finishers. So
Yeah, kind of like what you said. I think the upside is capped just because of Jefferson, but he still produced if you look at the games that him and Jefferson both played in. And I think with Kirk there next year, he'll be a wide receiver too. He's going to be solid for years to come. So now we finished off the tier. We got DK Metcalf. He's kind of a boomer bust receiver. You're not sure what you're going to get on a game to game basis. He only had 66 catches this year, but he had 8 touchdowns and he had about 1,200 yards. So that's another guy, just a solid wide receiver too. He's still fairly young. I think only 26 years old. They should be getting rid of Lockett potentially this offseason. So yeah, he's just a solid wide receiver too that you want to have on your team.
Next up, we have the start of the F tier, which we have Zay Flowers, a rookie out of Boston College. Had a really good rookie season with the Ravens. Lamar Jackson threw the ball a lot more this year. He's elusive, fast. He had a good playoff game where he scored a touchdown. He did have that unfortunate fumble, but fumbles fluky. They happen. He had an elite game. He had a very good season. He's going to be a great producer moving forward in that offense.
yeah, tied to Lamar Jackson, who is a good passer, despite what some people think. Um, so that was our top 24, but we're still going to finish off this tier because they're all in the same tier, so we believe they should all be included in the top 24. So next we have Tank Dell. Tank Dell had a phenomenal couple games as a rookie. It's a shame he got hurt, which we are worried about. He's very, very, very small, so injuries are more likely to happen to him, especially the way that one happened. Like, that was a thicker player, like a DK Metcalf. That injury probably wouldn't have happened, but besides that, he is tied to Stroud, which is, like the fantasy goal line right now. You want to be tied to Stroud. He's a little bit older for a rookie, but he still had a fantastic year. He got used downfield. He won jump balls, even though he was like 5'10". Like, he was just absolutely electric and a very exciting player to have on your team.
So Jeff, I'll let you sell the viewers on Jackson Smith and Jigba.
JSN. Um, it's really hard in Seattle when they have Metcalf and Lockett and a subpar passer in Geno Smith to really get everybody involved and get everybody the targets that they deserve. But JSN in his rookie year still put up 63 receptions, 628 yards, and 4 touchdowns, which doesn't sound like the best numbers, but as the third target in a mediocre offense at best, he did produce when he had to. If they move on from Lockett, he very well will move into that wide receiver 2 slot behind Metcalf, and he will put up probably 1,000 yards next year. Some touchdowns mixed in there. He's an elite prospect out of college, first round pick. Buy low for me this offseason on JSN.
So then rounding out the F tier, we've got George Pickens. That's another example of an offense that was kind of a train wreck. They fired Matt Canada midseason, but we're going to bet on the talent of George Pickens and that situation getting better. He had a similar stat line to DK Metcalf. I think another like 66 catches on 1,100 yards, a lot less touchdowns though. And I think with an improved offense, maybe bringing in a Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, maybe Michael Penix, better quarterback, more touchdown opportunities for Pickens. And I'm just going to bet on the talent that he pans out in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like that. All right, so thanks for watching. This is a brand new channel in case you didn't know. We have 4 other videos up right now. We have a quarterback rankings, we have a rookie mock draft, and we have a deep dive on Chris Olave and Jordan Love's dynasty value. So go check those ones out. Subscribe if you like the video. Give the video a like. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.